Here we have verse 13 of the 10th chapter of the Gospel of John. Jesus has just distinguished himself as the Good Shepherd from one who is just a hired hand, a man who's not out there with any particular affectionate connection to the sheep. And he indicates that in the case of a threat, when, for example, a wolf happens to be on the prowl and this hired man sees him, he's not going to put his own life at risk for the sake of the well-being of the sheep, and he just runs away and leaves them at the mercy of this wolf that invades. And of course, Jesus now explains the reason that he does this in verse 13. Poti, connective, means because, in this case, because misthoutos. This is the word we saw in the previous verse. It means a hired hand, a hired man. It's used elsewhere in the New Testament to mean simply that. It's not a negative term necessarily. It simply indicates that this person is working for a paycheck rather than working in the connection with the sheep in the sense that he has some sort of devotion to them or concern really about their well-being. So because hired hand, estin, he is, because he's a hired hand, that's why he runs away. That's why he doesn't have any particular additional concern, especially at the expense of his own well-being in connection with the sheep. So because he's a hired hand, kai u mele. This is interesting. This word mele is only used in this form in the New Testament, present active indicative, third person singular. It has to do with being concerned with. It's used with the dative, and so the sense of it is of no concern to him. That's kind of the way we would put it in the English understanding here. It's no concern of his. So it's used with the dative, and idiomatically that's the sense of it. So because it's a hired hand, it is no concern of his. Peri, preposition takes the genitive, in this case, peri tone, the genitive plural, neuter article, so concerning the probaton, concerning the sheep. He runs away because these are not his sheep, and he's going to put his own well-being ahead of that of the sheep. Jesus, of course, distinguishes himself rather dramatically, first from thieves and robbers who might break in and do positive harm themselves, but he also distinguishes himself from a hired hand who is not really there to do harm to the sheep, but he's certainly not going to put himself at peril for the sake of the sheep, and so he'll run away as well. And that leaves then Jesus as the true shepherd, the good shepherd, the one who is prepared not only to stand with the sheep, but even put himself at risk, put himself in harm's way for the sake of the benefit and well-being of those that are in his care.